I'll just begin with a brief overview, and I'll show you a few of the pages of the project. So this is a project that I conducted with my History of Rhetoric students this semester. 10 students ended up participating in the project. They were mostly junior and senior English majors. And my main goal was to have students write their own rhetorical histories of NCCU and to combine that in some sort of digital collection. Additional goals that I had were to have students find historical university artifacts, to compose in different media, to expand their understanding of rhetoric and what is rhetorical, to collaborate in revising and editing the project. And finally, I wanted to produce a project that would be made for a local and general audience. So it's not meant to be especially scholarly or esoteric. So as I mentioned, the assignment is posted on the blog, but I'll just give you some of the main guidelines. Each student in the course chose a different rhetorical medium or form. So that included rhetorics of speech, protest, food, art, music, dance, fashion, service, and modeling. So I wanted to include both traditional rhetorical forms. We often think of speech and protest, but also more contemporary forms of rhetoric like food and fashion. Students wrote what I called articles, and in those articles they introduced their rhetorical form. They included contemporary and historical artifacts using multimedia. And finally, they discussed the significance of the rhetorical form to NCCU. Students completed full drafts by midterm so that we would have the remainder of the semester to revise, edit, and then work on designing the articles. So for my role, I posted all of the articles and artifacts to a shared Google Drive folder so students could very easily do peer review inside and outside of class. And I put all of the articles into Atavist, and that's what this is. It's a multimedia publishing platform, and I really like it because it does a great job of integrating text and other kinds of media like videos, images, slideshows, GIFs, etc. And it's also beautiful, I think. And it transfers very well onto cell phones and tablets as well, so that's another reason why I really like it. So in class, we created some style guidelines together about how we wanted to actually write the articles. We worked on the title page. This is our title page, and the introduction, which I'll show you in a second. And finally, we played around with designing articles. And right before we published it, I did conference with each student so we could discuss design options, and they we rearranged layout, added captions, images, etc. So now let me just show you a few parts of the project. So up here in the hamburger is what I've heard it's called. Do you guys all know that term? The hamburger? It's the 3 lines at the top. I just used the hamburger and didn't know it. I know. One of my students taught me that, actually. Other people have heard that, right? Or a veggie burger, in my case. So here's the table of contents. So you can search the project this way and see the titles of all of the articles. Or if you go down to the right corner, you can scroll through chronologically. So I'll just briefly run you guys through all of the title pages and then show you a couple of specific things. So spoken rhetorics, rhetorics of activism, rhetorics of food. Sorry. Artistic rhetorics. Rhetorics of music. Rhetorics of dance. This is the student actually who wrote this article. She's featured right at the top. Rhetorics of fashion. Action, because of course our motto is truth and service. And finally, modeling, which also features one of our English majors here. I don't know if anyone recognizes Tyra. And then finally, there's a credits page that has a little picture of all of us. But I'll just take you back to the introduction, and I want to play you the audio for the introduction. We had one student just read this introduction aloud, so we could have it read in our own voices.
Broadly understood to be the act of communicating and art of persuading, rhetoric is the foundation of all communities. Since North Carolina Central University was founded in 1910, its students, faculty, and staff have employed rhetoric for many purposes, including intellectual debate, political protest, and personal expression. Composed by the members of the 2018 History of Rhetoric course at North Carolina Central University, this project showcases historical and contemporary rhetorical artifacts that reflect the values, commitments, and aspirations of our community. Rhetoric has always been studied historically, but we assert that history is also rhetorical, meaning that it tells stories of those in power from their perspectives. In this project, we write our own rhetorical histories up to the present. To write our history means honoring African American rhetorics, which for too long have been left out of America's story. As a historically Black university, NCCU has produced and hosted many significant African American rhetoricians, including Julius Chambers, Zora Neale Hurston, Andre Leon Talley, and the Obamas. African American rhetorics reflect the rhetorical styles of their African ancestors and seek to uplift the community. We showcase artifacts that fall beyond traditional boundaries of rhetoric, speech, and writing to highlight the innovative ways our community members have argued for their rights, expressed their values, and affected change. This project is divided into 9 sections. Each section focuses on a different rhetorical medium, describing its unique significance to NCCU and showing examples of prominent and everyday NCCU rhetorics.
So I'll just walk you through a couple of the articles. This is the first one, Spoken Rhetorics. And it starts with a clip from Dr. Shepard, who is our founder. In case anyone doesn't know that, I'll just play a couple seconds of it.
So we live today in a society which asks what sort of government it should have, what sort of life that government should make possible, what provision should be made for the aged and infirm, what should be done with our unemployed, how society should deal with its rebels, its criminals, and lazy members, whether our present economic system distributes employment and profits fairly, by what standards should shape their behavior towards each other, and what each of us should do with those hours of life when we are left to ourselves.
The article goes on to include a video of Felicia Rashad, who was at one of our Rock the Mic series last year. And it ends with another speech from Dr. Shepard, which is showcased in a slideshow. So one of the cool things that students did is they went back through a lot of our old yearbooks, and thank you. Thanks so much. And through our newspaper archives, and found cool images like this, which is the dining hall in 1938. This is also a page from the yearbook that has a poem written about the food on campus, and students are complaining about it, which is very cool. And then, of course, today we have images and video. And of course, now we all know that the food trucks are very popular on campus, so here's an image of one of the food trucks. Let's see. As we move forward, one thing that was really important to me is that this project is seen, and so I'm looking for places to host it and to post it. I have spoken to someone at the Durham History Museum, and they've agreed to include it in their digital projects page. Also, our department website, hopefully we'll post it as well, but if anyone else has ideas about places where this could be shared, I would appreciate it. Thank you.